Why a millennium? A millennium is something that was established eons ago. You have a belief that a millennium is every 1,000 years. That is a comfort factor to you. When changes need to take place upon your planet of a drastic nature, you will accept the fact that you have a new millennium, and that new millennium means that there are going to be large-scale changes. This is so you don't get upset about the fact that there is no time. You have described in your historical books a millennium as being every 1,000 years. Because there is no time, except your linear time which you have ascribed to your daily existence and to your calendars and clocks and all the rest of it, you think that time is a very solid thing. Yes, you can use time in your everyday existence, because that is your belief at the present. Because there is no time, there is no space, there is no distance. There are none of these parameters. It is very easy to change things so that they all fit. It was agreeable that this was the year 2001 and this was the time of a new millennium. You don't really know what time it is. You haven't any idea what time it is, but you will sort it out so you will make it fit. To us, a new millennium is nothing more than an opportunity to set before you many new possibilities and probabilities with brand new concepts for living on planet Earth. It is many times, and usually, very drastic in nature. You dreamers have been watching the stagnation of humanity on this planet for quite some time. This could not continue in this way. It was decided that drastic changes were needed, and the only way that could be achieved was to set a new millennium into action to give humanity a jump start. As a result of this stagnation, the majority of the people on your planet are just marking time by doing things like going back into their genealogy, etc. Today, many people are intrigued by Renaissance fairs and Renaissance music. They want old houses to restore. They hunt for furniture that was true to those periods, to make the houses look much like they did at that time. A number of people want homes that look like castles, complete with turrets. Now, stop and think what you are doing. You are going backward. People are looking at the past and longing for something new and dynamic. To them, the past looks dynamic. That is one thing that is very interesting about your humanity. You have a tendency to get excited about new happenings. If you're taking on new possibilities and new probabilities on a global scale, you have a tendency to not want to continue the forward thrust of these new possibilities and probabilities, and not complete the job at hand. To put it in very simple terms, you are given a problem in that which you call your workplace or in school or wherever it happens to be. Then, oh, this is going to be interesting. Then you go at it and you're so fascinated by it and it's giving you all kinds of stimulation. You work at it and you work at it, then pretty soon you're tired of it. You know that it should be finished, so you make yourself continue to do it until you get to the point that you say, I don't think I'll ever figure this out, and it's getting to the point that I really don't care whether I do or I don't finish it. So you set it aside and forget it. Now, that is a very simplistic way of explaining how you accept a possibility or a probability on a global scale. You will see some countries that will adapt to change easily and work things out. There are other countries on your planet that will very soon tire of anything that is not easily understood and accepted and will set it aside and won't bother with it. Then there is everything in between. The new millennium has those individuals who will begin to go forward. We made a statement previously about the fact that at one time we were hoping to jumpstart some of those people with different understandings, to jumpstart them into other realities, to accelerate the evolution of the species. Mass consciousness thinking needs to be jolted out of its lethargy to give everyone the opportunity to participate and enjoy the dynamics of a new millennium. When you stop and think about it, can you see why we are so interested in giving you information that you can use in your present-day existence to move forward? That is why it is so important for you to understand you and to understand your body, which are two different expressions. There is much disturbance in many of your countries to one degree or another concerning that which you call your religions. There it is once again, 1,000 years later. You are still working on your basic problems. And from our standpoint, it is a very simple thing. From living in a human body, it becomes a difficulty because, let's face it, you're getting right back into your belief systems. Your belief systems in different countries that people live in form the different parameters of that particular country. That's why your countries are so very different. They have their play that they are acting out as a country. You all do. Every one of your countries has a different play and a different part in their particular play that they are working out on a global scale. You have become so globalized that everyone is aware of everyone else's play. That causes a great deal of unrest because everybody knows, or thinks they know, what everyone is doing. The one thing that they do forget is that these different countries have their own set of rules by which they run their country. They have their own parameters. So it is very difficult for one country to understand another country because of the divergence of those people that are living in those different countries. You have an even greater divergence here in that which you call your United States, simply because you have so many different groups of people from all over your world that are living in your United States. When this new land was being populated by people from all different countries, it needed some sort of direction and some laws of some kind. The rest of the world was already pretty much established. Many different possibilities and probabilities were conceived in both the dead zone and the live zone. It was agreed upon that this would be an ideal way to start something new that could be used as a large, physical experiment. It would act as a role model for a global village. You have large countries that probably are divergent, but they may have basically all the same people. In other words, you have a large country like what you call India. India is basically made up of people that are born and raised in India, and that has been forever. And yes, you have other people living there, but not to the extent that you have thousands and thousands of people that are different, like you have in the United States. I don't believe that there is a country that you can think of in your global community that doesn't have at least a small number of citizens now living it that which you call your United States. And people who live in the United States have learned, to a certain degree, to be able to adapt and to blend, and this is what it is all about. A lot of people refer to the United States as an experiment in democracy. Really, it is not. It is really an experiment in world globalization. Many divergent people living in one global village. The intent was to do this under the framework of a republic structure of governing, where each person had exactly one person's say and no more. Those who wanted to deal with power have switched it over, without ever telling the people that they were doing that. A democratic form of government emerged where small groups of people can control how the country is run. This is one of the main reasons your countries are having trouble in organizing and working together, because the experiment called the United States is not able to function the way it was intended. This is a key issue. When the Founding Fathers set up that which you call your Constitution for these United States of America, it was set up to be a republic. Then little by little it was changed. A little change here and a little change there, and the thing is that over a very short period of time in your counting it became what you now call a democracy. A democracy is when you appoint someone else to speak for you, instead of you speaking for yourself. That was not the original intent. Now it has become a structure that is, from our standpoint, not too far different from those which you would call the Arab world and Asian worlds. The ones in power run the countries and tell you what to do and how to do it. And you're saying that that is wrong. But then if you really look at your United States, there is not that much difference. The people in the United States, even if they don't want something to take place in their local community, the governmental structure takes over and you have lost all of your power of decision making as individuals. Now we had John do some research for us on the Millennium 1000. The Millennium 1000 took very drastic concepts and worked with them. These concepts and the possibilities and probabilities that they worked with were temporarily finished as far as many different countries were concerned. The main issue was never resolved within the full extent of the possibilities and probabilities set forth. And the information that John found in his research we will use to explain more about that subject. There is a strong correlation between the last millennium and this present millennium in that the last millennium marked the advent of the Crusader Holy Wars. These crusades took place because this new religion, Islam, was starting to take hold and threatened the dominance of the then Christian empire throughout that part of the world. Islam itself was a relatively new religion that was just coming into widespread acceptance in the Turkish and Arabic worlds. Pope Urban wanted to maintain his dominance. The Pope gave a speech detailing the atrocities being inflicted upon your Christian brothers by these Islamic people. A speech that was a total fabrication. This resulted in several hundred years of successive crusading armies sent off to kill those offending people. You see, in the year 2001, you have the reverse. You have Islam and the extreme radicals in that particular Muslim religion that are at odds with those in the United States that you call Christians. They are at odds with all Christians, as far as these radicals are concerned, and that includes not only the United States, but all other countries that are of a Christian religion. So you see, it was never resolved, and now you're turning it around and doing it the other way to see if these issues can be resolved. How you will resolve them is entirely up to the planetary interpretation of that which you call your possibilities and probabilities. Here we go back to your basic belief systems. When you leave the dead zone and come back into the live zone, you return to that family relationship that is comfortable for you in many respects. One of them being your religion that you are born into in that family grouping. The one thing that is seen at the present time is that there are those that are being born into that which you call a religion, but still have respect for other religions. Then there are those that are born into a religion, and as far as that individual is concerned, that religion is right and everything else is wrong. Will this millennium solve those problems by teaching people to respect everyone in regards to their divergent beliefs, be it religion or anything else that is contrary to the nature of a single individual? Perhaps in this millennium, the struggle that continues in Northern Ireland will be resolved once and for all, resulting in peace within that nation. These are very important elements in your adoption of new possibilities and probabilities in this new millennium. Possibilities and probabilities in this area of exploration are being considered in other countries as well. The Dreamers all work together. Different countries are seeing the need for change in order to work harmoniously on a world basis. There are many that are working on that and have been working on that for a great number of years to have a global community. It has not worked simply because the power of decision making is not with the people. You can see that the whole world economy is in turmoil because of how special interest groups have affected all your democracies and intended democracies to the point that they are crumbling from the top down. You've had your scandals regarding the money that big companies have earned, and the heads of these companies have taken all the profits and walked away with them. This has happened not only in the United States, but in many countries around the globe. You have your church that has been having all of these things brought to the forefront regarding the molestation of children and women. That is another thing that is all over your globe. You also have a tremendous number of young people that are committing suicide all over your globe. In some countries it is more, and in some countries it is less. That is another thing. Why are these children committing suicide? Then you have other things that you are being confronted with, and that is your health system in different countries. Some countries are very secure in their health systems, and they have provided different plans for different people in different countries by the government. They have worked that way for many years. There are other countries where there is a great deal of instability. There are other countries where there is little or no care available. You also have this huge epidemic with AIDS. That is a big issue, more in some countries than in others. These countries where you have the rate of those that are infected is humongous in comparison with other countries. You must remember that some of these countries have never had any information. Their people live in a day-to-day existence and are not connected with the outside world. The outside world is very foreign to them. The advantages to being global is going to help these countries advance their peoples. All of these things are coming up. You will, from time to time, have different things that will come to the forefront. Then you will work with those situations and resolve them however the global community decides it is going to handle these situations. This is what we're saying. We have listed some of these special interest groups that are being controlled by small groups of people that are controlling large groups of people. Looking from our standpoint, we can see that you want to change a number of issues on a world scale. This is all I'm doing, viewing from our standpoint those issues that you feel are necessary for resolution. This is why we feel it is so important at this particular time to explain to you how you, as an individual, function within the global community of your world. Then as each person recognizes his or her own integrity and self-worth, that is going to help make change easier. That is the important part. It is very difficult to turn a battleship around in the bathtub because of the humongous size of the battleship. If you have a little toy boat in the bathtub, it is easy to manipulate. It still has the same effect. It's the boat and the water. That little boat can have a great deal more fun for a child that is playing with the boat than to have a great big ship in the middle of the bathtub and they can't even turn it around. What I'm referring to, your little ship, is you. You have the ability to be maneuverable, to accept changes, to look at yourself as an individual that you want to become. That is what you are doing. You are constantly in the state of becoming. Then you can realize how important you are, just like the little boat. This is the most important thing to the little child playing in the bathtub. You are important in the evolution of the species. You are that important, but you don't realize it. At the beginning of this present millennium, why was all this fervor going on with your mass of humanity? What was all of this anxiety throughout the planet all about? What did your humanity think was going to happen? Everyone had the expectation that something drastic would take place in 2000. Nothing major took place until 9/11/2001. That apprehension was a bleed-through, if you want to call it that, from the unfinished business of the last millennium. Those that are excited about all the new things that happened in the year 2001 and beyond are using the energies and getting excited about what's coming up. Something new is coming up. You have started with grand things, as far as your medicine is concerned, working with that which you call gene technology. That is one of the grandest breakthroughs that you've ever had. So, there's excitement about what can be done by transplanting or growing genes and making changes within the physical construct to different kinds of that which you call diseases. There's excitement in that field. There's excitement with those that are called astronomers because they're seeing new things. They've never seen things like they're seeing now in your heavens, and they're all excited about that. The archaeologists are excited because they're making new discoveries. They're finding new things under the ground and under the water, and they're all excited about that. There's excitement in many different areas. So people are using that. Look what's coming up. Look what's coming up. Have you noticed all the development in the new sciences? Have you noticed all the development in the medical profession when it comes to the operations and the discovery of the DNA and the RNA and all of that? That has been very recent, very recent. And you could say, if you looked at the planet from our standpoint, that came on like gangbusters. All of a sudden you had everything developing in every direction you can think of. Your music has taken tremendous strides, and the classics particularly, which has been so very staid over the past period of years. Your educational system is split right down the middle. There are teachers that are teaching and having tremendous results, and then there are the others that are following the old patterns and it isn't working. There isn't anything that we are aware of that you're not exploring and wondering about and expanding on it. You have exploration in every area that you can think of. Everything, from the discovery of the patterns that are made by all the genes in your body, to patterns in the sky, to patterns in the earth, and patterns in your water. Your whole planet at this particular time of its evolution and your evolution, and all the species upon this planet and their stages of evolution, is like something that is unbelievable. You select the television news and the information that is on the internet that agrees with your views. You think that just because it is on the television or internet it has to be fact. This is true all over your globe. You've lost the ability to see with clear eyes. This is going to be a very interesting new millennium. How are you going to view it? Are you going to be involved in secondary plays or your individual plays that will not only benefit you, but others around you? As you began to work with the new millennium energies, you were beginning to work toward the uniting of the countries of the world. What happened?